The Feast of Mary, Our Lady of Palestine, was celebrated at the shrine of Terra. Hundreds of Christians from all over the Holy Land gathered here for this special occasion. Bicycle of Hope. This is the title of a campaign organized in Bethlehem to raise awareness among women about the importance of preventing breast cancer. Professor Moen Kanan of the University of Bethlehem explains the work of researchers in the field of genetics. Władysław Dabrowski, 93, a Polish veteran, remembers the long journey he and a group of Poles made during the Second World War from the Soviet Union to Jerusalem. A ceremony at the Christian cemetery on Mount Zion commemorated the compatriots buried there. Performed in Neapolitan dialect and summarized for the first time in Arabic, the Palestinian director Ihab Halawa staged the comedy Uomo e Galantuomo by Eduardo De Filippo in Ramallah. Sounds and images come together in the Holy Land Organ Festival. Now in its 6th consecutive edition, it covered all the countries in which the custody of the Holy Land is present, with over 45 concerts in more than 20 locations.
This feast moved our feelings. It makes the heart overwhelmed with joy, because the Blessed Virgin Mary, Lady of Palestine, Queen of Heaven and Earth, unites us. She recuperates our emotional and national feelings and compensates for the pain we are living here in the Holy Land.
Yes, we are the children of the Holy Land, at the forefront of those who cherish the fact that the Virgin Mary is the Queen of Palestine. She has given our country honor and dignity. The feast of Our Blessed Lady of Palestine gathered hundreds of Christians from the Holy Land in a solemn popular celebration on the 27th of October. The Mass was presided by Archbishop Pierbattista Pizzaballa, the Apostolic Administrator of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, at the shrine of the monastery of Rafat, built in 1927 in honor of the Virgin Mary, the patron saint of Palestine.
The only occasion where all the Christians from the north to the south can gather is here in Arafat for the Queen of Palestine, our mother. Like in every family, we gather when their mama is present. And also today, we can gather. It's very difficult for us because of the political situation to gather, but for the mother, our mother, Queen of Palestine, we managed to gather.
Celebrating the feast of the Virgin Mary while we suffer from economic and political difficulties gives us peace. The Virgin Mary with her right hand extended gives us the gift of peace and blessing. As we see in the icon and the statue of the Lady of Palestine, she gives us peace and serenity from her right hand and invites us to carry the cross because the resurrection is coming. While the shepherd's choir was singing "Peace be with you," the faithful carried the statue of the Virgin on their shoulders and marched in a long procession along the sanctuary of Our Lady of Palestine, reciting the Rosary and seeking her maternal intercession and affection. Here we stand before you with full confidence in your infinite capability.
We feel that heaven will not leave us alone. There are times when the Lord compensates. We, as people, we should accept this message and hold it firmly. We feel that the Virgin will not leave us alone. She loves us, and we love her so much.
A couple from France have been coming to attend this celebration for decades. They are like the unknown soldier. They make all the necessary arrangements, cleaning, preparations for the celebration and cooking food along with the students of the seminary and the monastic community of Bethlehem.
C'est l'église qui se rassemble en ce lieu. Pour nous, c'est très important.
It is the church gathered in this place. For us, it is very important. All the different communities make one church. It's very special here because people come from all over the world, from Palestine, Bethlehem, Bejala from the territory. They also come from Jerusalem, from Nazareth. It's a feeling of being one people.
C'est vraiment un sentiment d'être un seul peuple de Dieu.
D'avoir confiance dans la Vierge.
We have confidence in the Virgin. Today is the feast of Our Lady of Palestine. We must believe in her power. We must keep confidence despite the difficult political situation.
Situation politique un peu difficile.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. This is a true proverb, especially when talking about the spread of breast cancer in Arab society. Early detection saves a life. In this context, DR Academy for Children and Youth in Bethlehem, in cooperation with Bethlehem Municipality and Health Work Committees, organised on the 24th of October the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Hope Bicycle Campaign, under the slogan, "Do not exclude symptoms, test and rest assured."
Today's event was about a vital social responsibility for our society. As girls in sport and active actors in our community, we thought of using bicycles as a tool loved by young, old, male and female to deliver a focused health message. Today we applied the idea on the ground to give hope to every woman, not only those with breast cancer, but for every woman facing difficult circumstances. This campaign came to convey the message, where there is life, there is hope. These bicycles will continue, God willing, to deliver the message of hope. We believe in the power, effects, and positive impact of sports on society.
Professor Moin Kanan, head of the Genetics Research Laboratory at Bethlehem University and the Arab Consultative Hospital, tells us about some of the tests used to detect breast cancer.
One of the platforms that we have in the lab is what we refer to as a BRCA testing, which is a test that involves 52 genes or 54 genes, including BRCA1 and BRCA2 and another 52 genes, in one test. The idea here to determine if the risk for breast cancer is inherited or it's acquired, and based on the profile of these genes and the way they manifest themselves, we will be able also to determine what are the procedural and the management issue that a breast cancer patient has to go through. Along with the breast cancer, we were now developing and introducing a new test called Oncotype DX testing, which happens to trying to understand the tumor itself and then try to look at determinants that could predict whether the patient will derive benefit from chemotherapy or not, and whether the cancer is going to relapse in the coming 10 years of after diagnostics.
As for the challenges facing the study of causes of breast cancer, Professor Kanan said,
one of the issues facing cancer testing is that people tend to be very private about it. I understand the privacy, but trust me, sharing risk with other affected, sharing risk with the information that we have that put people at risk of developing anything will ease up the problem and the psychology aspect of the problem.
Dear spectator, do not exclude symptoms. Test and rest assured. The red and white ribbons on the crosses, a wreath of flowers and the memory of a trip. The trip that brought a group of Poles from the Soviet Union to the Holy Land in the midst of World War II was very long. Imprisoned in Soviet gulags. Once released, many of them joined the Polish Corps, led by Commander Anders, created to provide support to the Allies against Germany. Władysław Dabrowski, 93, was one of them. He arrived at the Christian cemetery on Mount Zion in Jerusalem to attend a ceremony in memory of his fellow countrymen buried there. After the invasion of Poland, when I was only 16 years old, I was deported to Kazakhstan. After 2 years, they allowed us to leave, and from there we crossed the Middle East, passing through Iran, Iraq, Transjordan, up to Jerusalem. Meanwhile, Poland, invaded from the east and the west, was divided and still in the middle of the war. Look, a little further. This road leads to the Wailing Wall. I remember going there with a group of companions. We prayed in that place. Around us there were many Jews praying, and we prayed too. I took a piece of paper and I wrote, I asked God to allow me to see my family again and to return to Poland. That's what happened in the end, not before a few years. Many of the tombs on Mount Zion tell the story of those who were unable to return home. They are mainly elderly civilians or those who have suffered from the difficult conditions of the Soviet camps. In Poland, before the war and even today, there are mostly Christians, and for them the Holy Land is something incredibly important. Unfortunately, many Poles were unable to return to their homelands, yet they were buried in a land they loved, the land of Jesus Christ.
So it's very important for us.
It is very important for us to hold this celebration every time we have the opportunity to bring back some people, some veterans to Palestine. I think few people know or remember that Poland was the first victim of Nazi Germany in 1939. And not just Nazi Germany, because it was attacked on both sides by two bloody regimes, German Nazism and Soviet communism.
Soviet communism.
Eduardo De Filippo in Palestinian style had not yet been seen. A bold undertaking, staged in Ramallah. Ihab Halawa, the director of the shortened version, was the first to translate Uomo e Galantuomo into Arabic. For the first time being, it has been performed in Neapolitan and summarized in Arabic by non-professional actors, Italians and Palestinians who are studying the Italian language in the West Bank.
Eduardo De Filippo fa del suo teatro una denuncia sociale.
Eduardo De Filippo makes his theatre a social complaint. In Uomo e Galantuomo, he speaks of pride, madness, appearance in society. These are themes that can be adapted in the Arab world.
Dell'apparenza nella società, quindi sono dei temi che adattabili nel mondo arabo.
Where adaptation is less easy, Ihab used poetic license, as in the case of the betrayal of the husband by Bice, the lover of Don Alberto, the protagonist of the comedy. It has been described as adultery, but without sexual intercourse. This has been taken away because of the sensitivity of the Palestinian culture, a rather religious culture in which therefore a lot of attention is paid to marriage, the relationship within marriage, but not outside. A work promoted by the Dante Alighieri Society of Ramallah, and not easy for Ihab, a Palestinian Christian who had the opportunity to study tourism and entertainment at the University of Messina. My way of seeing things has changed a bit because art is a form of resistance in Palestine. Even just getting people out of the political situation laughing is an important step. To tell the truth, but does Eduardo De Filippo's Neapolitan make sense in Arabic?
La traduzione era in dialetto palestinese, non proprio in...
The translation was made in Palestinian dialect, not in classic Arabic. Translating some Neapolitan terms such as buatta was difficult. So yes, it lacks some of its original meaning in Arabic.
Senso in arabo.
Expert hands run fast on the organ keyboards in the Basilica of Bethlehem. This time, however, the performance is very special because sound and images come together in this evening on the Holy Land Organ Festival, now in its 6th edition. The images of Frate Sole, a silent film of the beginning of the 20th century by Mario Corsi on the life of St. Francis, are projected, while the organist's task is to perform its soundtrack, improvising. My preparation normally consists of listening to the soundtracks of other films, and then seeing how they dealt with certain situations, certain passages, because connections are important, and then understanding how to exalt certain figures. I chose fairly well-known themes, which returned when the characters entered the scene. For 1 hour, without interruptions, solemn registers alternate with more delicate ones, the silences with the explosion of sounds. It's a real novelty for the whole Middle East, where for the first time a religious film is shown in a church with the accompaniment of the organ. My desire was to arrive at the canticle of the creatures as the core of the message, so that the theme of Francis appears hardly appears, it seems to emerge but is never complete. Because I enjoyed watching St. Francis becoming St. Francis, and so I made the theme appear and I made it explode, as you can do with this tool in the moment of the Canticle of Creatures, because that is the moment that touches me. I think that all of St. Francis is there.
Tutto San Francesco.
The music of the Organ Festival, organised for the 6th consecutive year by the Custody of the Holy Land, reached all the countries where the custody is present. More than 45 concerts in more than 20 locations, from Jordan to Greece, from Syria to Lebanon to Jerusalem, Nazareth, Bethlehem. A glance at the audience shows that the event has become an effective means of bringing music and art lovers of different cultures and religions closer to each other. The organ is part of my musical background, of my education in Russia. I heard it for the first time in the Riga Cathedral. The organ is part of Western musical culture, even if it is not part of Jewish tradition in the strict sense. I think culture is the best way for people from different cultures to meet and dialogue.
L'organo non è uno strumento tipicamente cristiano, ma qui
The organ is not a typically Christian instrument, but here it is perceived as a typically Christian instrument. This is in fact one of the aims of our festival, to bring a repertoire to which people living in these countries could not access because the organ is found almost exclusively in churches. With our festival, we can offer this repertoire to all lovers of organ music, classical music.
proporre questo repertorio a tutti gli amanti della musica d'organo, della musica classica.